Saturn's rings? I took a ride on Saturn's rings. I hitchhiked with an angel just to see those things. She showed me love and gave me directions. I'm not exactly sure if she knew of my intentions, 'cause I wanted to ride, but the devil lied. His wings fell off and I saw through his disguise. I wanted to speak, but I wasn't okay. He said, don't be scared, I told the truth today. 'Cause Saturn's rings wrap around the fingers like guitar strings. Sing about my sorrow like tainted springs. All around the rings, and when the devil tells the truth, there's no trying to win. After that day, my life got strange. My slippery reality had me rearrange. That voice inside my head can't think of reasons why we're not exactly saints, but we might be more than heathens. 'Cause I wanted to ride, but the devil lied. His wings fell off and I saw through his disguise. I wanted to speak, but I wasn't okay. He said, don't be scared, I told the truth today. Saturn's rings wrap around the fingers like guitar strings. Sing about my sorrow like tainted springs. All around the rings, and when the devil tells the truth, there's no trying to win. Saturn's rings, they got me going in circles. Nothing's wrong with me, I'm just turning purple. No, I can't stay home, you know I've got big plans. Hopping galaxies, I'm an interplanetary man. Saturn's rings wrap around the fingers like guitar strings. Sing about my sorrow like tainted springs. All around the rings, and when the devil tells the truth, there's no trying to win. Saturn's rings wrap around the fingers like guitar strings. Sing about my sorrow like tainted springs. All around the rings, and when the devil tells the truth, there's no trying to win.
Cool. Can you play an E chord real quick? Okay, now I know what song it is. On you. Or you, I guess. Well, I like my coffee hot, mixed with sugar and ice cubes in it. I'm so far out of bounds, but somehow I have no limits. I guess today is just not my day. I've been searching for change, but I still act the same way. I wanna go back, but I don't know what they'd say. Am I the ash that falls from your silhouette, or the dirt beneath your shoes? The one that's never desired, destined to lose. And I said, so what if I don't mind the rain? I like it better than the silence. Anything to ease the pain is better than the silence. And that's a funny thing. The one that hurts and stings is the one that you'll keep crawling back to, stuck in that sinking ship. But don't you throw a fit in the back of the bar with people that think that they know you. And by the ash that falls from your cigarette, all the dirt beneath your shoes, the one that's never desired, destined to lose. And I said, so what if I don't mind the rain? I like it better than the silence. Anything to ease the pain is better than the silence. Woo! So what if I don't mind the rain? I like it better than the silence. Anything to ease the pain is better than the silence. Fun times.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Fantastic. All right. So I'm here with the Secateurs, right? Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We're going to start with some introductions. So if I could get a name and an instrument, and then anything you want to tell the world, you know, it's all you.
I'm Besson. I play guitar. I'm the only guitarist in the band, so lead and rhythm.
I am Easton. I play bass and I sing, and he also sings.
Me llamo Matt. I can't sing. I play drums.
Perfect.
I forgot that I sang.
That's a problem, but that's okay. You know, we're here for you. All right. So the first question is a bit of a warm up. There's no wrong answer once again. If you had to be a breakfast cereal, which breakfast cereal would you be? And you need to make a compelling argument for it.
Cheerios.
Tell me more.
Honey Nut Cheerios specifically. It is just flavorful and very basic. That is all.
It's a bad answer.
Cocoa Puffs.
Great answer.
Because I'm relatively cuckoo already as it is. If I was a Cocoa Puff, there would be no stopping me.
Fantastic. I appreciate it.
I feel like it's a tie between Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Raisin Bran. One is what I aspire to be. One is what I am.
I feel like Raisin Bran today. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, me too. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay. So my first real question for you is the band name. You know, what's up with the band name? That is a very, very particular, very unique name. So I'm wondering about inspiration, if you could tell us what it means.
Our inspiration was theft because our first band name got stolen.
Oh yeah, there's these British guys that used the name we already had. We were originally called the Howlers, and they like had an album coming out, so you're like, oh, they're serious. We probably shouldn't steal their name.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they were like a year ahead of us. So, but I think you were the one who actually came up with the name for what we use now. So
Yes. So there's this Last Shadow Puppets song called Separate and Ever Deadly, where the chorus line is "Save me from the Secateurs." And I heard this line and I was like, that is the most like rock and roll thing of all time. And I looked up, what is a secateur? And it's literally just gardening shears, which is not cool at all. And so I thought, okay, we can be the Secateurs because it sounds super awesome and we're trying to make our sound very big and sound like we're playing with more than 3 people. But if you look at us, we're just 3 dudes. So there we go.
I like the artistic nature of that, yeah, because we had looked up what a secateur is and found out it was a garden tool, and we were like, is there a correlation there, you know?
We could have just been really into gardening, but hey.
We're not.
And like it's a pretty simple thing, you know, gardening scissor and the music we make, like since it's only 3 of us, we have to keep it simple but also find a way to keep it fresh and interesting. So that's another way to look at it.
Right, no, that's really cool. And that's kind of a good segue into what I've got going next, which is how did you guys get started as a band? You know, it seemed like from watching you perform that you have a pretty good connection. You know, there's lots of laughs. I know as you guys are kind of jamming out together, the little looks, you know, I know the musician looks, right, when you're like really getting into the music. So like what was the origin there? Were you guys already friends? Did you kind of find each other? You know, have you had any other band members?
They're actually the original Secateurs, so they can start this off.
What's up? So me and him were friends from a church life group, and one day he just came to me and he was like, hey man, I just learned how to play guitar. And he showed me this video, which I thought was amazing at the time, but I'm sure if we watched it again, it would be not great. I was like, you know, my dad's got a drum set, and I could learn how to play drums, and we could jam together. And he was like, cool. I was like, you free Sunday? And so I kind of forced myself to learn anything on drums within a week. Then we just jammed, and it was really bad. It's awful. The videos from it are atrocious, but we just kept doing it every Sunday. And then we're like, man, we need a bassist, but it's impossible to find one.
So I became the bassist after looking for a bassist for a year, but they're not real. So I just became the bassist. I found out through a friend that he played guitar. He played a lot of the same like classic rock stuff that I liked. And so we invited him over to come play bass. And then he played like one line on the guitar, and I was like, wow, okay, I'll just play bass then. And here we are.
Plus, he was sneaky with how he got on board too, because he got a riff that Easton had made from one of our songs, and he like covered it and posted it on his Instagram.
Oh yeah,
So
I
we
was
saw
totally
it.
thirst trapping him by playing his riff.
It worked.
That's honestly, I was not expecting that answer. You know, most people say like, oh, well, I did music for this many years. And I was like, you know what, why can't I form a band? So that was really interesting that you formed a band and then, you know, you learned how to play the music. But that's a pretty good motivation, I think.
I was really lucky because
Yeah.
all 3 of us went to different high schools at the time too. I went to Mandarin, he went to Sandalwood, and he went to
Sandalwood?
Atlantic Coast.
Is that kosher? Can I say that?
I have no idea.
It's a nickname for the school.
Anyway.
It's bad.
Yeah, no, that's really cool though. And so do you feel like it like pushed you to be a better musician because like, oh, we got to write this music, we got to put out this music, like I got to learn how to play my instrument. So you think maybe that like fast tracked you learning how to play?
I would say definitely, because when I first started, obviously I couldn't tell that I was terrible. But then after playing for a few months, you sort of realize like, wow, there are so many other people that are playing way better than I am. And so you kind of have to try to figure out, really I learned by playing the guitar just with him playing drums. So I figured out what I could do while someone else is playing, and kind of just throwing yourself into that situation. It really helps you learn how to play, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he inspires me still and inspired me a lot as a guitarist. Like he had this really interesting way of mixing rhythm and lead playing, whereas at the time I could only do one or the other. And I learned guitar originally to just like play guitar and sing, you know? So when I had to be like the only guitarist, it really helped me to like have his perspective on how he plays guitar, and also adapting the songs that they'd already written together to develop like my own style, which, you know, he still influences.
Okay, so you had songs written that were just for 2 people, and then you actually had to fit another person in. So did you write like new sheet music? You put like more melodies or more? What was in there? Like, how did you do that?
We don't use sheet music.
None of us can read it.
I will rephrase. Yes, we cannot use sheet music. It was more so just figuring out like one of our songs. Besson just straight up was like, we should put a guitar solo in here, and we were like, oh sure. It's just figuring out what the 3 of us think would sound good together. So just kind of trying to collectively work together and make the song like the 3 of ours, rather than it's a song that we made and then he just hopped on. So now it's all of our music together.
Yeah, so sheet music. That may have been like a very classical instrumentalist question. I play cello. So you just memorize all of it? You like record it? How does that?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
You lifted the mic. Anyway, it's a lot of memorization, muscle memory. You just kind of make up a song and then it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, I mean, like when we'll start working on something, we'll take it like part by part, and if we don't necessarily have a part, we'll just improvise a part and see if like anything cool comes up. And once we have like sort of a structure, we'll just set the phone down on the floor and start like making a rough demo of it, so we have something to listen back to. And throughout the week until we meet up again, me and Easton, we're like thinking about it and coming up with new parts, or we'll just revisit it the next time. But we have that there as a reference to help us keep on writing it.
So let me ask you this. Have you heard the really embarrassing like Taylor Swift demo tapes? Like especially the blank space one? You can say no, it's okay.
I've heard of them, but I have not heard them personally.
I've heard an Ed Sheeran one.
Okay, so do you have any of those? Because there's one where she's just like gibberish into the phone with like guitar in the background.
We'd have to go pretty far back, but I'm sure there's something we've got.
Okay.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious about that. You know, stages that the music goes through is really cool. But it sounds like you guys have a lot going on. You know, I heard about like your youth group. I know you just got out of work. You know, you got half the uniform going. So how do you balance all that? Is this like an everyday thing? Like how often are you making music? You know, school going on. We just had midterms. So how does that all work out in everyone's lives?
Well, personally, I work at Chick-fil-A, and I'm going to UNF as a full-time student. So, and Besson, he's working, he's in school, and Matt's working full-time. So,
Trying to get that bread.
yep, really, we all just meet up together one day a week, just on Sunday, every Sunday, and then if we have a show coming up, we will practice the set or try to work on new material. Recently, we've been trying to record our own music so that we can come out with an album. So it's just that one Sunday and any other time that we can squeeze in between.
Basically, for the past 4 years, it's been every Sunday. Like we've missed a couple here and there. We usually try to make those up during the week, but Sunday is our day.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that you have your Sundays, you know. Very, very ritualistic, honestly. But it's good because music gets to be a part of your life. So you guys are making new songs on those Sundays. We got ideas going. What's the songwriting process like? What are we starting with? We starting with vocals, like?
Usually it starts with some sort of either guitar or bass part, either a riff or a chord progression. And generally we write the music first and then the lyrics. You want to add to that?
Yeah, exactly what he said. Because I'll find a lot of times what we're doing is just we'll have like a concept or an idea, like, okay, what if we played this riff here? And then we'll usually get the music out first, and then we're like, all right, everything's good to go. And then we have to add lyrics after the fact, trying to figure out, like, okay, if we make a super heavy and angry bluesy riff, we are probably not going to be singing very soft, melodic Beatles stuff on top of it. So we kind of take the music and then try to get the vibe and go from there.
Yeah, every once in a while they let me write a song drums first, and you can usually tell which ones those are.
Because they're better or they're worse, you think?
They're just different.
Okay.
It's usually just a lot more very high energy, and the good thing is that I think that I've all done pretty well is that whenever we're writing new songs, that we never step on each other's toes either. So aside from like, hey, try this part out here, or suggesting alternate thing to play, we pretty much all write our own parts for the music. So with the exception of like, hey, add a little more energy or maybe make it more mellow in this part. On the drums, that's total creative freedom to me. Bass, total creative freedom to him. And guitar, total creative freedom.
Yeah, it's really great to have a drummer that like serves a song always, not trying to be too flashy or like, you know, he's just does what he needs to and he's great at it. And we also of course, man, we also pay a lot of attention to the structure of our songs just to keep them from becoming like mundane.
Yeah, they're all a little weird.
Weird is good though, you know. It's better to have your own unique sound and be out there. So you mentioned starting to record some of your original stuff, and I know you guys have also played at some local venues like Jackrabbits and stuff. So have you noticed any differences from when you're recording or when you're jamming out versus when you're live and you've got an audience? You know, maybe they don't know your music, but you've still got that audience interaction. Like, what are some of the differences there?
We play faster when we play live.
Is it because you're nervous or just like you're just hyped?
The adrenaline, yeah.
Yeah, it gets to you. I think the biggest difference is that with a crowd, there's a lot more feedback that you really get to like get amped up on. So there's times where we'll play like 3 songs back to back, like with no pause in between. We'll like transition from one into the other, and I'm just and if it's like 3 really high energy songs, and I'm like about to collapse behind the kit there, but then the crowd starts moving and they start chanting along to a song. I'm like, okay, this is the push I need, and I just power through it, and it ends up being like, I break a stick, I grab another one. We just power through it. And it's like a really high energy feeling. And then the reverse end of it is that a practice can be very chill but also because there's no crowd there, there's no expectation of us to get off the stage. So we can do like a 7-minute long guitar solo. Yeah. That would make Pink Floyd proud.
It's very rock and roll of you, I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I'd say on the recording aspect, recording is definitely a very different feeling than playing it live. Because if you play it live, if there's like a little mess up part, since there's only 3 of us, there's only like 3 to 4 sounds happening at once. So every one of us and everyone in the crowd can hear, like, instead of just like, ba-doom, something goes wrong. And then we just get right back on track, and then everyone's still moving. If we make that one tiny mistake recording, you have to stop everything, restart the whole song. And when you do it like 3 times, you start to get really frustrated. I know I do. I'm like, this is stupid. How did I write this? But it just takes a lot more time and patience to record.
Yeah, just a weird psychological thing. As soon as you press play, you like sort of forget how to play.
Yeah.
And when you're at the venues, do you have any like funny stories, any mishaps, any even horror stories, anything went wildly wrong,
The lights went out at Jackrabbits one time in the middle of a song.
Pitch black in there.
And like also my guitar was like cutting out right before it happened too. So I really didn't know what was going on, but the lights came back on eventually and we just picked up where the song stopped. It was like a very like opportune moment in the song where like they drop out and I just do a little guitar thing and the lights went out and it came back on. I started doing the thing and like the song kept going, so that was pretty cool.
It's always fun when you can take like a technical mishap or some sort of fluke that happens during the show and you're just like, okay, no, this is a cool part. We're going to make it this is like this little pause, and that way when we get right back into the music, it's even more energetic and you sort of turn that mishap into excitement.
Nice, I like it. I liked that, that you use the opportunity. It's part of being an artist, right? Being a performer. The show must go on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one will notice a mistake unless you stop.
Right. That's what you always think in your head. You're like, oh my God, that was so obvious. Everyone's going to know. But really, if you just play it off, confidence.
It's so loud in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what makes live venues cool, So my next one was, what is your favorite song? I know maybe there's not a whole ton to choose from. It could be something that you've put out there, maybe something that the audience doesn't know about, but I'm interested in everyone's thoughts.
Our songs?
Yeah, that you've done. I mean, it could be, if you don't have an answer to that one, it could be favorite song you've covered, maybe, if there's something that you really love playing.
I mean, I really like Saturn's Rings, the one we just played. It's something I wrote pretty recently, and it just like resonates with a lot of people, and I like that about it,
My favorite song of ours is a song called Right About Now, and it's one of the first songs we ever made as a band. It's similar to what he said. A lot of people just seem to always move with it, so the crowd interaction with that is very fun.
I'd say mine is probably a toss-up between none of these are out yet, so these will not make any sense. But
I know what they are.
We have this one song called 19 where it is probably, I think, the most up-tempo song we have. My hands hurt nearly every time I play it, but it is just so much fun. And then the second one, the second one is actually out, Bad Hearted Woman. It's actually one of the first songs that when we became a 3-piece, Besson brought this one to the 2 of us. He was like, hey, I have this song that's like mostly written. I just don't have like the full like ensemble of a band behind it. And so he gives us the lyrics, and we all just like work on it together. And it's another one of those songs to where everyone who's been to our shows a few times like immediately recognizes it. We always get a few cheers, and we're like, "This next one's Bad Hearted Woman," and then it's another up-tempo one as well. Maybe I just have a preference. I don't know.
Yeah, it
Crack.
sounds like you like to get wild over there.
It's fun. I'm a drum. Drums go boom.
All right. So you mentioned some songs that aren't put out yet. You mentioned just writing Saturn's Rings. It sounds like you guys are a little busy. So what can we expect from you in the near future? You said maybe an album. Like what's going on?
100%. There's an album coming. We're working on it. It should be done soon. We're going into like the final stages of it. We can't give you a date exactly right now because things are crazy. But that's what's on the horizon, and not possibly, some singles before the album too.
Yeah, the album's coming out, and this coming Friday, March 18th, we're playing a show at Murray Hill Theater where we're going to be playing a lot of songs on that album. So if anyone's like, wow, that wasn't terrible, then they can find it on Spotify and stuff.
Okay, so we've got some unreleased sneak peeks going, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Quite a few of them, actually. A whole album's worth.
That's pretty cool. All right. I feel like I had a question straight out of my brain. Was there anything that you guys like explicitly wanted to mention, wanted to talk about, maybe about your vibe, your sound? Like if you want to advertise for someone who's never listened before.
Gotcha.
Do you have a genre? Like, is you a mix of genres? Maybe you don't know your genre.
We know our genre. I'd consider us blues rock, but we also do some alternative stuff like that. So
It's a mix of a lot of stuff, but like the biggest umbrella we would fall under would be blues rock. So like anyone who likes anything from like old rock and roll, like Led Zeppelin and all that, or like any alternative music, garage rock music, Arctic Monkeys, The Strokes, all that, like all of that is we wear those on our sleeves. So
there's sounds like some artists that you kind of how am I trying to word this? It's like that inspire you for the band. Are there any artists that inspire you personally for your own sound, for your own like growth as a music maker?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually like share a lot of the bands that inspire us in common, like Arctic Monkeys.
I like the White Stripes.
Like you said, Arctic Monkeys. Matt Helders is probably my favorite drummer of like modern times. Obviously, John Bonham's way up there.
Yeah, and when I first joined the band, I was like a classic rock purist, and like I hate myself for it. But when I like started hanging out with these guys, they like got me into so much more music, and they still do.
I remember you trying to convince me to just constantly listen to Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Houston was terrified by the idea that Skynyrd has 3 guitarists, and then he gets me into Queens of the Stone Age, which has 3 guitarists, but like even heavier.
No comment.
Yeah, you want to plug yourself? Where can we find you? Social media, YouTube, Spotify?
We can be found at the Secateurs Music on Instagram, and we're on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can get music, and we're going to be putting out an album sometime this year, hopefully, so just keep your eyes and ears open.
Do any of us know how to spell it off the top of our head?
Our band name?
Secateurs, I think.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure you guys can spell music.
Wow, well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for coming. We look forward to what you're going to do.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.